Yes, Matt Friesen. I am the Director of External Affairs at the Oregon International Port of Coos Bay, and Mattfriesen.
Perfect. So let's start with what we were originally here to talk about, which was this 25, actually over $25 million dollars in funding from Congress going to the Port of Coos Bay for this intermodal project. Tell me, and I know that you said that there was a press conference about this today. Tell me in a little bit more detail what this intermodal project is going to look like.
You bet. Yeah, so the project is typically we describe it as having kind of three legs of the stool. There's three major components of it. There's the channel modification, so we need to make the channel that's already naturally deep, but we need to make it a little bit deeper, a little bit wider, create a turning basin, and that's one important part of it. Um, Another important part is building the terminal itself and additional rail yard capacity at the terminal, and it'll be a completely new terminal, which gives it a really unique opportunity to be environmentally savvy and technologically modern instead of what commonly happens now, where you have to kind of add on to older infrastructure. So that allows it to really be much more energy. It'll be completely renewable utilizer of energy. And so we'll build the terminal, build the rail yard, build the channel, or widen the channel. And then the third part is upgrading our railroad. So the port does own a public railroad. It is the Coos Bay Rail Line. It runs technically from Coquille to Eugene, but where we would upgrade it would be from the project's location, which is just kind of north of Coos Bay, on what they call the North Spit there, to Eugene. And from there, cargo can go anywhere in the country because that connects the Class One rail yard with Union Pacific and potentially additional railroads as well. So those are kind of the three legs of the stool as we talk about it. And so the project would require funding for all three of those areas: the rail upgrades, the terminal construction, and the channel modification.
And I know you just spoke on it a little bit, but for viewers and for people like me who don't fully understand the importance of ship to rail terminals, can you expand on how that is different from what ports usually look like, whereas there is moving trucks needed in other situations?
Yeah, there's nothing quite like this in the country. There is in the U.S. There is one in Canada, but it would be the first completely ship to rail. So the great benefit that Coos Bay has that no other really port in the West Coast, but in the country, is it has available real estate and it has very close proximity to the ocean. So it's a very short, just a stone's throw to the Pacific, and then from there, obviously, it connects to our biggest markets in Asia. But also, we have real estate that's not being impeded by and constrained by a lot of development and congestion. So there's not the traffic, there's not all of the development that's happening in most major ports where the cities are continuing to grow around there. We're a smaller rural area, so as a result, the port actually already has land that's zoned the right way, that's in the right kind of location, and connects very closely to our own railroad. So that's really the value, is the ability to get something right off the ship, right onto rail, and then out. And again, from Eugene, it can go anywhere in the country. So it's a unique opportunity. It's a unique advantage that doesn't exist in bigger population centers, which is where most of the ports are, especially on the West Coast.
And so I know that with this new terminal, you're looking at cutting greenhouse gas emissions, but would this new port to rail system on the West Coast also make the system faster in delivering goods across the nation?
Yeah, it would. It would make them faster. Like, for instance, it would be 40% faster than coming from Savannah for freight routed from Asia if it was, like, for instance, going to Chicago. And you would have emission reductions due to the shorter ocean voyages as well. There's certain pinch points around the globe, and given again where our location is, it's an advantage because it doesn't have some of those same bump into some of those same pinch points. And that's again what we've seen going back to COVID. was just how sensitive and fragile our supply chain really is to disruptions. And, our project actually was already going pre-COVID because we had already seen that there was, given the projections for growth in the future, there wasn't going to be enough capacity on the West Coast to handle it, especially for inland imports. So it was already something that had really been seen as a need. And currently, what happens is most of our products go up into Canada, a lot of them, and then will come down and go to the Midwest. Some of those imports to those big, again, population centers. So, yeah, it's a fragile system, and it's we saw it with the bridge last year. There's a lot of different ways that it can be disrupted, and we just saw it with the strike. It didn't last long, but there's just a lot of different variables to factor in. So having resiliency, having additional redundancy with more opportunities and options is always a good thing, especially when you're talking about really growing markets and growing opportunities.
And do you think that more cargo ships will come into the port once the new terminal is finished as well?
We do. And that's one thing that we've been spending time doing, is making sure that we already are building those relationships and understanding the market dynamics, so that with our trading partners and the shipping lines, that they understand and can explain to us where the products will be coming from, that the demand is continuing to increase the levels that we've seen, and getting commitments. We did just create a sister port relationship with a port in Taiwan, because we're having relationships being built as we speak. Some of our team is going to be traveling again to East Asia shortly. They spent a lot of time this summer in Korea, Japan, South Korea, Japan, and elsewhere. So, yeah, that's an important part of the equation too, because people want to see, if we're going to make these investments, that there's a connection to reality and to the economic drivers, and we're seeing that really is true.
Now let's switch over to the press conference that was held today. What did that really look like?
Well, we went out, and it was exactly almost a year to the day that we last had some of our federal partners, our federal leaders, for Oregon, out at that same spot talking about how we need funding and we need to make this thing happen. And so it was exciting to go out there and be in the same spot, in the same location, and say, it's been a year, we've been doing tons of work, and here's some actual proof that we have a commitment from the federal government in this $25 million grant. It's the first of what we think will be many grants, or at least multiple grants. We have two more that we've applied for that we think we will be very competitive for, and think will be money well spent in the Port of Coos Bay, because we've demonstrated that we have a plan that's implementable, and that will be a really important boon to a area of the state that has really struggled to get a lot of investment from the government. It hasn't had, the federal or the state that's really taken as much of a interest in this area as we would like, and that has really done a lot over the course of time to contribute to some of the struggles we've had with understandable changes in policies. But it's been a difficult place to get a lot of commerce going. You can get some things going, but we need to really diversify the economy, and we need to take advantage of the places where we have a competitive opportunity. And with the port, again, being a naturally deep port, it already has this natural element to it. And Oregon statute already has as a mandate for these ports to be used for economic development and to maximize their potential. And I think what we've seen from the community here is a desire to go full speed ahead, and to do it smartly, and to be following every single requirement, and be communicating all along the way with the community, and working hand in glove with local governments, and making sure everything is done to the absolute highest quality, highest standard, highest regulation. And we've been doing that from the beginning, and we're continuing to learn as we go, and to have more conversations as well, to ensure we're talking to the community as we're going, and factoring in considerations as we consider making upgrades to the railroad and work in the channel. So we think it's a win-win. It's a win both locally and it's really a win nationally as well for just creating opportunity for more goods to move in and out of the country for a lot of them for small businesses.
Yeah, so can you tell me some of the notable figures that were at today's press conference? I'm assuming Congresswoman Val Hoyle was there. Did we see Senators Merkley and Wyden there as well?
Today was actually just Congresswoman Hoyle. She was in town. They've all been kind of busy with the short recess they have. So she was around here kind of just by good chance. And so we connected with her. We also had uh, Representative Boomer Wright, who represents this area, attended. We had some of our port commissioners. We had local carpenters and IBEW were present. And again, just to connect and show, I think the local community that there's support, but also from I think the federal perspective that they're going to put their money where their mouth is and start delivering some of this funding that has been talked about a lot of times, but hasn't actually shown up. And there's been a lot of promises, and unfortunately, a lot of them haven't been kept. But this is one that we've seen come through, and it's pretty exciting. And I think we're going to continue to see excitement as people, understandably, they have some doubts about whether things can come through, and this demonstrates that there's some real substance to the plan, and I think we'll continue to demonstrate that that's warranted, and also continue to talk to the state about additional support as well. So, we're going to keep. It's a big plan. It's an exciting plan, and it's got a lot of vision. And this is an important step, and I think we'll see some important steps again in the next month to 6 weeks, hopefully, with additional federal support.
Yeah, I was going to say it must have been a huge celebration in general too. I mean, with I remember from the quote in the press release, Val Hoyle was saying maybe up to 8,000 local permanent jobs are going to be established through this, cutting greenhouse gas emissions, boosting the economy. It seems like overall this project is going to be one giant great thing for the area, especially for all of Southern Oregon. And as you were saying, it is kind of an area that is a little overlooked at times. So this is a huge achievement for the area, especially Tuesday.
Yeah, yeah, it really is. It's exciting. I mean, it's transformational to have that level of jobs when you think of the population in this area, and we really need it. We need to have, these are not just any job; they are really career level jobs that pay really good wages. And those young, healthy people that will be taking these jobs are the kind of people that we need living here as well. Unfortunately, the population has, well, it's not unfortunate, it's just the nature of the dynamics, that we have a lot of an older population, and that can challenge the tax pay. It can challenge the healthcare system when you have high utilization and you don't have a balance in that payer mix, so that you don't have other people that aren't using the system as much that are also having insurance. And we see that in the opportunities here for providers in the healthcare space. There's a lot of a ripple effect to how your economic conditions are. And I think we'd love to see something that has this big of a kickstart, to have that kind of economic growth and that kind of job and those kind of employees would really do a lot to just diversify the economy and the opportunity and just the entire society down here in a way that would be really exciting.
That is all my main questions that I have for you. This is kind of the part where I leave an open floor for you to kind of say anything I haven't specifically asked you or anything you think is important for me to know.
No, I think you hit on it. I think this again is just it's a pretty cool opportunity. It's a unique time. I think we've got the right team in place here, and it's great to see the support be realized in an actual substantive way. So, but we're far from done. This is just one important landmark, but we see a lot more coming, and we're going to keep working. And it's just been very encouraging to the team that we have here to see some of this come to fruition. So, this will be going to design and engineering work, And we've got a plan that's more iterative. In the past, we went for really big construction grants, and this time we have working very closely with the federal government, with the regulatory agencies, more of an iterative approach. And I think we're seeing the benefits of what's been a smart plan.